Welcome back, everybody. We are back out on the rock course for some more tire testing. First up is the Boom Racing Aggressor. This is the redemption video for the Aggressor. We ran these one time and they did okay, but they had some pretty big shortcomings. A lot of which I believe were down to the factory foams. I have decided that I'm going to test everything on the same foam pretty much. Either a 3D printed insert or an overstuffed dual stage foam like a Crawler Innovations. The Aggressors come with a decent dual stage foam, but it's pretty undersized for the tire. I've got a separate video showing that'll be linked at the end of this video if you want to see what I'm talking about. But we're just going to kind of see if the Aggressors pick up any performance with these Crawler Innovations foams in them. I am trying a few new things with my recording. I'm recording on a lapel mic, so hopefully the audio is decent. I don't know how this is going to pick up surrounding area, like wind and stuff like that, and it is fairly windy today. It's actually kind of not great conditions. But it'll allow me to move further away from the camera when I'm driving. So coming up to our first obstacle, we have the big side hill, side hill. So as I mentioned, conditions are pretty suboptimal today. We're dealing, well, if I can get off the rock here, we're dealing with some pretty big winds. We've got about a 20 mile an hour sustained breeze and up to 40 mile an hour gusts. And it's cloudy today, so it's not exactly optimal conditions, but sometimes you got to deal with what you have. So one area where the Aggressor struggled with their factory foams was side hilling. Now, I am still seeing some of the same issue, which is with side slip. The rear is sliding out quite a bit. And as I stated in the previous review, I think that's largely due to a combination of the tread design and possibly the compound of the tire. We have a very chevroned lug with a lot of lug spacing, and both those things are just kind of conducive to slipping in the side hill. However, I am not seeing the extreme collapse on those sidewalls like I saw with the factory foams, which means that we are able to position on the rock without rolling out. That side slide actually helping me out a little bit with that rear coming around. So let's go back up this way. And the Aggressor's able to kind of walk all over this rock any way they wish with these Crawler Innovations foams in them. Now, these are the 475 size Crawler Innovation foam. They're pretty stuffed in these tires. Again, I have another video detailing this. I thought possibly that I would have to run the 4.5 inch foams in these, which are still stiffer and bigger than the original factory foams, just a little bit smaller than what's in here now. But so far, these are working out well. Now it's tricky. Ugh, I've got myself in a precarious place here. This isn't great. I kind of haven't really done this line, well, not line, but haven't really come down this way before. I don't think this is, yeah, that rear tire is really off the ground. The passenger rear is completely off the ground right now. See if we can recover. There we go. So Boom Racing calls this compound Gecko. This is the black. They have red and black Gecko. And right now, the Aggressors are sticking tire rack to the rocks like a Gecko. They're doing a pretty good job. That's a good showing in the side hill. There is quite a bit of slide, which is one of the problems these tires had, not only on the side hill, but on just inclines and stuff. We had kind of a lot of slip back, and you can really see these things sliding. And again, I really think that a lot of that is just going to be down to tread design. I don't know how much of that we're going to be able to mitigate with foams. I think that's going to just be an inherent problem with these tires. Getting off the rock now is proving to be an issue because of that. It just keeps sliding sideways away from the line that I want to take off these rocks. I know that's in the corner of the camera there, but we're able to do it. So side hilling, that's pretty good. That's a lot better than what the Aggressors did. I took the wrong line off this. All right, we're going to recover because I don't want to snap an axle. But that was a lot better than what the Aggressors did with the factory foams. So I'm pretty happy with that. That wasn't a perfect side hill performance. Again, we're pretty limited with the tread on here on how well it's going to be able to do. There's always going to be a lot of slide, I think. And I really think that that's probably tread pattern more than compound. But we will test the red compound eventually. This is the black, which is the softer compound. But we'll test those and see how they compare. But on the side hill with the Crawler Innovations foams, we have done a lot better. Okay, guys, we're here at our second obstacle. And our first problem of the day is the water level at the lake is up a little bit. And half of our obstacle is underwater, which is why this obstacle is called wet or dry. So this is going to be interesting because on video, I have not done this in the wet, and it takes away our hard line because it's pretty deep where the harder entry onto the obstacle is. But we replace it with a wet run of the tire, and we're already stuck because the water has shifted some rocks. Hang on a minute, I'm going to reset the obstacle. So these are some of the joys of crawling outdoors in an area that is not controlled, is things are subject to change. But we've got a good amount of moisture on the tire, so we'll actually be able to test the wet performance of the Aggressor, which we didn't do last time, and it's not good. Not able to get even the easy line. Let's see if we can come around and reset. The Aggressors, I can tell you right now, don't seem to like being wet. Come around for a reset. Now, they're not loaded with mud, they're just wet. But with a tire that already has a lot of slip, yeah, being wet is certainly not helping them. We're going to have to come way over and see if we can hook that. So, ooh, we're not going to get it. It's just sliding down into the water. We lost a truck. Okay, the Aggressor's not having a good showing on being wet. I'm going to rethink how I'm going to do that obstacle when it's wet. I'm not going to throw it at it too many times right now. So that's going to kind of change some things this weekend. But that's okay. Now, tires are still wet. They're crawling up this okay. It's much less steep. Took a different line there than I usually do. It's a lot less steep and a lot less slick. But the Aggressor's doing okay. Passenger side of the truck got pretty much underwater. And we're hooked on the axle now. The Aggressor is not able to, man, these don't like being wet. We just have lost a lot of our forward drive. Not able to bump. Oop. Let's see if we can get around there. Okay. Not a great showing there either. The Hustler's actually having some problems today. Part of it is the environment. The last time that I ran them, it was a lot nicer. Weather was a lot nicer. Didn't have all these issues with the wind. But consistency is key when trying to test tires, but unfortunately, I don't have a home-built rock course I can crawl on right now. And I don't like the indoor course in our area very much. No issues getting up on there. That actually did a little bit better than last time. The key to this obstacle is to have a tire that can hook the edge of that ledge and kind of push itself over. The front usually get up easily, but the rear need to really be able to hook and pull it. Now you can see though, as we reverse, we are on a side hill and it's just sliding sideways, especially with those tires being wet. And now I've reversed too far. I don't even know if I'll be able to pull the truck out. Yeah, it's going to roll out. So again, showing some issues with side hill, largely due to that lug. not being able to drive straight. So we can pull back on here. Did it the first time with no issue. A little bit more problems. So one difference between the foams that come with the tire and the Crawler Innovations foams is as soft and undersized as the factory foams were, it does allow that tire to collapse a lot more, which can help in some circumstances to conform to the surface. There we go, get up there. So now we've got a combination of the tire being wet and the rear tires are dirty, and bump on. Still not overly impressed with the Aggressor. Still has a lot of issues side hilling. Any obstacle that's on a side hill, it's pretty bad. I almost can't get off that one, which not very many tires have issue getting off that one. The tires are starting to dry out now. We're going to have to pull those foams out because they got wet on wet or dry. That's okay. Hoping we don't have any issues with the tripod today with the wind blowing it over. So far it seems to be pretty stable, but it is a cheap Amazon tripod, so a little concerned. I've got my phone sitting on top of it, so I don't really want that to break. No issues there, but I took a shallower line than I usually did because I knew that these would slide sideways coming off there if I didn't. But that was still okay. Now we come up here. And took a wrong line already, so we might have to back off this and try it again. See if it can pull it up. Hung on the rear link. There we go. Pull up. So I'm noticing one thing with these foams that are actually not working as well as the factory foams did is they're not allowing as much conformity, which is affecting the Aggressor's ability to pull up onto some of these obstacles that kind of require that. That's not necessarily a problem with the Crawler Innovations foam. That's just a problem with the size I put in here. I overstuffed it, although it got up there really without any issues. But I still wonder, I might have to try this yet again, give the Aggressors a third chance with a 4.5-inch Crawler Innovations. Guys, sometimes making a tire work is all about finding the right pairing of tire to insert. It'd be nice to say you shouldn't have to do that, but unfortunately you really do with most tires. And coming down here, we have two obstacles where we are descending. And yeah, we get a rollout because the tires don't have the grip to hold it up. Oh, now we're not going to be able to self-right. The Aggressor is not looking great today. Ugh. Wind just about blew the camera over there. This is quite miserable. Not a real fun day to be out crawling. I don't know if I'm going to get as many of these videos recorded as I hoped. Hopefully, I'll be out here today and tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow is going to be a nicer day. It's not supposed to be as windy, but this is miserable. There, that's better. Not as much slide there. Coming up here, we have what is probably the hardest obstacle on the course. The Aggressors were not able to complete this last time. I'm skeptical that they'll be able to do it this time. I actually think that last time they might have had a better chance with those super soft, undersized foams in there. But we shall see. The problem with the Aggressor is it's not a tire that you can just point your truck in a direction and go. it's going to kind of pick its own path and slip and slide around. We need to get up here. There's the bounce that I talked about in the preview to this video that I thought might happen if the inserts were too firm, too overstuffed. Guys, I definitely think I'm going to be doing a third chance video with the Aggressors of trying those 4.5-inch crawler innovations. You know, I don't have extreme high hopes for the Aggressor. I don't necessarily have like, damn, this wind. I don't necessarily expect it to be a great tire. But I'm kind of, I just kind of at the point where I want to see if I can make them better. Okay, come on, wheel speed. Come on, let's get over. Yes. Okay, I think we're going to be able to do it. No! Don't lose that line. Okay, we got to keep that edge hooked. Okay, the Aggressors completing what is the most difficult obstacle on the course, which I have not yet named. Well, they've completed half of it. Let's see if they can finish it. I've not yet named. I've not actually named most of these. Oh, and we roll out due to driver error. We're going to give him another shot. That was driver error. I looked away at the wrong time and didn't cut over soon enough. I need to cut over right there. There we go. Get that front up on there. There we go. Yeah. Overall, I think the Aggressors are doing better than they did with the factory foams. There's still some limitations. They did far, far better in the side hill. They've really done better on everything except our second obstacle, which that second obstacle, wet or dry, it's very wet right now. Like it's further underwater than it usually is. They got quite a bit of rain up here a couple days ago. No issues there. And they haven't opened the dam. And so water level's up about 2 feet, which is good for the lake, but not great for my course. And it actually has me rethinking how I want to handle Obstacle 2, on whether I want to keep it or find another one. I kind of thought, you know, just for goofing around and stuff, it's kind of fun to have it. And it would be good for review to have something that's wet. But I think I need to find something that maybe I can just bring a bucket with me and wet it down as part of the test rather than having it be, you know, sometimes wet. Hey, that'd be more consistent. I need to stop talking and get on here. About to lose the camera again due to the wind. It's not fun recording right now, guys. I'm very distracted by this wind. Anyway, I'm going to have to rethink how Obstacle 2 is going to be done. Okay. So I'm already seeing the same issue we had the first go around that caused the Aggressors to, I believe, not get up this obstacle. There's a rollout. And that is, they don't have the forward drive to get up this rock. They start going forward and then they slip back an equal amount. And it's going to be especially problematic for me today on this obstacle because of the way that I am facing with the wind. I hope there's not too much wind noise. I hope this mic is kind of doing its job with a windsock. But I'm having to watch the truck, try to watch the camera to make sure things are in focus, drive the truck, pay attention to the wind so the camera doesn't get tipped over by the wind. I might tether it to myself, honestly. Be annoying, but it'd at least keep it from falling over and breaking my phone. Okay. Nope. Can we come up this way? If I can come up this way some. Every bit of forward progress, it slides back about the same amount. Which, again, that's not insert, that's tread. Possibly compound, but with the soft compound and the temperatures that we're having today, I would expect that these would do better than red. And again, I haven't even tested red, so I don't know, but this is supposed to be their softest compound. But that very chevron tread with a lot of lug spacing in between just allows for a lot of slip back. And there's not enough grip on the front tires to pull it. I've talked about shock bands on this truck before. I'll go ahead and say again, I'm going to put shock bands back on it. It used to have them, and it does, well, we're getting there. It does a little better with shock bands, but I don't have any on it yet. And now we're hooked on that tree. I have toyed with the idea of cutting the edge of that tree off to move it out of the way, because stuff gets hooked on it sometimes, but I'm hooked on it. But it does add kind of a neat challenge to this obstacle. So I don't know if I want to do that or not. Probably not. Because right now the entire problem is I need to drive around that tree. Come on, go up there. Go straight up is what I need. There we go. Now we're going to need wheel speed to get off the obstacle. And on a tire that has... there we go. Well, it did it. Not the best, but it did it. It completed it, which it was not able to do last time. And last time we were dealing with an issue of the same issue with the lug, but the rear foams were collapsing a lot more, which caused it to roll out a lot more frequently. All right, now we get into one-handed driving. So we're going to try to do that and record. I did replace the servo in this truck. Last time I was out in the tire reviews leading up to this one, I was having some issues with the servo. So I have replaced it with a Reefs 777. I had the 9i mod servo I had in this was, see, I'm not even able to pull up on that rock to turn. We've got really soft dirt underneath. What I want to do is hook, there we go. This is the kind of the trail test obstacle. This sees how well the tire does in more of a trail condition. That 9i mod servo started failing me. I started having issues. I was losing power when turning to, I think it was driver's side. I lost a lot of steering angle and didn't have the torque. So I think the motor just started going out, and I took it apart and couldn't find anything wrong with the gears. So I think we just had a motor going out. See if I can set down there for a minute. This obstacle, you get hung up on the edge of it a lot because it's just a sudden drop off, and if you don't have wheel speed, there we go, I'm hung on the links. That camera is about to blow over again. This is not exciting recording today, guys. I'm going to reposition. All right, get off there. See if we can come up this without too much drama. I was able to complete this last time. Oh, come on, don't slide off. See, those front tires are completely turned and it's just pushing it. It's not able to change directions. There's just not enough forward drive. I'm curious if any of that has anything to do with the foam. Again, I do plan on testing the 4.5s. I've seen enough improvement out of these that it makes me wonder if I went a little too firm, a little too big with the foams, because the 475s in this tire, this is a 475-inch tire advertised, but it's a little bit smaller, especially on the inside. Okay, this is the loose surface trail climb or hill climb. We like to be able to do this with about 40% throttle. I believe last time the Aggressors we had to go to 100% throttle, and we're caught in there. Probably gonna have to do the same thing here. Foams really shouldn't make too much of a difference here. And we're able to get up a full throttle. So overall, the Aggressors did do better. They did a lot better on the side hill. They did better on most of the obstacles. I was able to complete every obstacle today except for obstacle 2, which I think pretty much any tire is going to struggle today with obstacle 2. It's a little bit too much underwater. So I might bypass it or find a different second obstacle. But overall, the crawler innovations did improve the Hustlers. I mean the Aggressor, not the Hustler. That was an improvement. The foams did a really good job. I definitely want to run the smaller one, the 4.5 inch though. I'm going to plan on doing that. So the Aggressors get some redemption today. They're going to get a third chance at redemption with a little bit smaller Crawler Innovations foam that I'm hoping will be kind of the perfect mate. Again, I don't think the Aggressors are going to replace anything like a Tusk or unseat anything from the top of the throne, but it's a pretty good crawling tire. It's got some issues due to that tread design, the chevron and the lug spacing. I said in the first video I would try running them backwards. I did that. They weren't any better. They really weren't worse, but they weren't any better. So I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. This with a chevron tire, I mean, it's obvious this is the way it's meant to be run. This is the way it's going to get the most grip in most situations. It's still a very good loose dirt tire. You know, the hill climb does a good job there. It does a good job with loose soil. I imagine it'd be a pretty good mud tire. On the rocks, it's decent. It's not excellent, but if you like the look of it, if you get the right foams in it, it can perform pretty well. But that's where the big shortcoming is going to come, is the Aggressors are roughly $30 a pair. And then depending on what you do with foams, let's just say you put Crawler Innovations foams in them, you're going to be talking about another $50 for a set of 4. So you're going to be looking at over $100 for foams and tires to have something that doesn't perform as well as like a J-Comsets Tusk with the factory foam in it, honestly. But again, that is an improvement. That's what we were looking for. And we're going to look for some more improvement. We're going to put those 4.5s in and we might look at seeing if there's anything else we can do to get the most out of the Aggressor. The reason I want to do this is because I just like to tinker around and kind of figure out how can we get the best performance out of something. But it is a tire that you don't see a lot. There's not a ton of content on YouTube about the Aggressor. And, you know, it's a pretty neat looking tire. And I think that if it can be decent, if it can perform decently and people can see that it can perform decently, it'll be a fun option for people to run. I wouldn't run it in competitions. I wouldn't run it if you're just hardcore rock crawling. But out here on my rock course, which is kind of a combination of trails and some decent difficulty obstacles, it's doing a good job. I will mention this is sandstone. I'm in the Midwest. I'm in Kansas. We're crawling on sandstone, which is a high grip rock. So if you crawl in an area where you don't have as much high grip, if your rocks are slicker, the Aggressors do not do well on the slicker rocks out here. It's a compound thing at that point. But we're going to test the Hustlers in red. So maybe we'll see if it comes down to a little bit of tread design as well. That's all for today on the Aggressor. And we will see you back again when we test the 4.5 inch foams.